this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so.
Welcome to the Red State Town Hall program. I'm your host, Primo Mondoni. My co-host, Ken Brown, will join me in a couple of minutes. Please visit the show's website at redstatetownhall.com. While you're there, be sure to like us on both Facebook and Twitter. If you wish to contact us, the email address is premo, P-R-E-M-O, at redstatetownhall.com. Our show is broadcast here on Red State Talk Radio, America's premier grassroots conservative internet talk radio network. The show is also syndicated through iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podomatic, TalkStream Live, Player.fm, Roku, and at least a dozen other websites. You can listen to the station using their Android, iPhone, and BlackBerry apps. Visit the station's website, redstatetalkradio.com, to download the appropriate app for your smartphone. If you don't have a smartphone, you can listen using any phone on the station's 24/7 listener line provided by TalkStream Live by dialing the following. For Studio A, 605-562-4209, and for Studio B, 518-712-0045. Before we start the show, let's give a shout out to our AM, FM, and digital affiliates: WDDQ, FM 92.1, Adel, Georgia; WSFB, 1490 AM, Talk 97.7 FM, Equipment, Georgia; WJNW, AM 1650, Hermitage, Tennessee; Talk Radio, AM 1620, KTFL, Gilbert, Arizona; WMQL, Radio FM 105.5, Brevard, North Carolina; Kaufman County Talk Radio, AM 1680, KCTR, Terrell, Texas; Tax Pro Radio, Gainesville, Georgia; WCNR Digital, West Virginia; and K98Talk.com. Now let's bring on my co-host from Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Ken Brown. And Mr. Brown, don't forget to catch your video.
Oh, yeah. Forget that. Well, there's some good news this week.
What's that?
Really good news. We don't have to listen to another State of the Union address from this guy.
Oh, yeah. Thank God. Yeah, I didn't watch it. I don't know about you if you watched it live.
Neither did I.
I watched
I could take an Obama commercial for an hour. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, I watched some of the clips and stuff, and I'm telling you what, the guy was in fantasy land, wasn't he?
Oh, well, I didn't watch it because I couldn't bear to hear it and get my blood pressure up. So I just I said, I know what I'm going to do is I'm going to hear these clips from all the news feeds, and that's what I did. And I was like, oh God, I'm glad I didn't listen to it.
Yeah. I think he went kind of long. And by the way, the ratings for the speech were the lowest of his presidency. So I think that kind of tells you a little bit right there. Before we get into all that stuff, though, one thing I wanted to mention is I went on Friday and saw 13 Hours. It's a movie about the Benghazi situation. I think the title of the movie is 13 Hours: Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. I think it's what the official title is. Man, I'm telling you what, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know what really happened that night, you need to go see this film. It's heartbreaking, but at the same time, you need to be there, and you need to just marvel at the bravery of these guys. I mean,
You're telling me you watched or you listened to the mother of one of those fallen?
yeah, the guy from I'm trying to remember his name. I think the guy's name was Sean. He was the IT guy. He was just the IT guy that was. I mean, he wasn't a soldier, but he is one of the people who got killed. He was with Chris Stevens. He was with the ambassador. They were both together. There were two of the people that got killed, of course, and then the other two people that got killed were two of the special ops people that were on the ground saving those American lives. I mean, let's don't forget there was over 30 American lives. I think 32 maybe that were saved because of the efforts of these 6 Americans who were there fighting. I mean, the odds were unbelievable, Ken. I mean, the amount of people, and I'm amazed that any of them got out alive. If you watch this film and you see how many jihadis they were going against, of course, now you got to realize you were dealing with special op guys. Most of them were Marines. One guy in particular was really I'll just say it. He was just a badass. Is a guy named Tanto, who was an Army Ranger, and they were all badasses. That's the truth, but. These guys, I mean, from the very moment of the film when it first starts out, you know that they're in trouble and they're in a hellhole, and they're in a situation, Ken, where you don't know who the good guys are and who the bad guys are, or if there are any good guys. I mean,
I can't imagine.
Everyone should go see it if you're thinking about voting. Especially, I'll put this out. If you're thinking about voting in the Democrat primaries, you need to go see this before you do. You know, a little bit of advice. And one thing I want to mention, then we're going to get on some our normal stuff. You know, the Obama administration, Ken, has always claimed there was no stand-down order during Benghazi, and Hillary Clinton testified there was no stand-down order. And, of course, in the film, there is a stand-down order. And, of course, this film was made with several of the guys that were there that night consulting on it, several of the special ops guys. And they say they got the stand-down order. And it's clear throughout the film that even though maybe stand-down orders were not given in other locations that were nearby where they could have helped, there's absolutely no question that there was never a, quote, stand-up order. No one, I mean, in Italy and in other bases that were nearby, and they could have gotten there in a matter of literally minutes. And you got to remember, this assault took 13 hours. So they could have gotten there in a relatively short period of time. No one ever gave the order to go. So, assume you believe the Obama administration, Ken, that there was no stand-down order. Where the hell was a stand-up order to stand up and go help those other Americans that were in trouble? How come that was never issued? Why did help never arrive? And let me tell you something. When they finally, the people who got out of Benghazi alive, when they finally left Libya, they did not leave on a U.S. transport. They did not leave. They had to be taken out by a Libyan airplane. Well, there was no American. You know, where was our presence? I mean, at least you would think we went and picked our own people up, right? Mm-hmm. At the very least, we didn't even do that.
Well, we were also told that. I mean, Hillary Clinton just said that she never told the families that it was a video.
She's still lying about that. Yeah, I mean,
and every family member, in fact, one of the family members kept a journal that he had on him at the time of the day. And after she was told that, after she told him that,
he wrote it
was a video. He wrote it down, and he read that word for word. It was in his journal.
And the thing is, a journal like that is actually admissible evidence if anything were ever happened with that. And this guy, he's done this his entire life. This isn't something he just did when he went and met Hillary at the air base. It's something he's done his entire life.
Right.
It's just a habit he has, and he's done it forever. And right there it is. That it was all about the video. They were going to get the guy that produced the video that got his son killed. And
but Primo, I mean, she gets up at the podium in front of the caskets and the families after she's just agreed to them, I guess, and she tells the world, because I was listening to it, I heard it. She told everyone it was a video. So did Obama.
Yeah,
they just said it. So why wouldn't they say it to the families? I mean, they just got through saying it to us. So, why would every family member lie?
Well, ask yourself the question, like we talked about on the air before we went on the air, is who has the incentive to lie?
Yeah,
the families,
the
families, or the Obama administration and his Secretary of State, who wanted to push the narrative that everything was hunky dory in the Middle East and reelect us.
When she was asked if she was lying or the families, she said, "Oh, I can tell you that I didn't."
Oh, that burns me up when she says that.
You, me both.
Okay, in a kind of similar story, let's talk about this real quick. By the way, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. We got of course, the GOP debate we're going to talk about, and a little bit more about the State of the Union maybe, but. You guys, I guess most people who are listening to the show have seen on the news that we, of course, this last week we had 2 U.S. boats were captured in supposedly Iranian waters, and 10 U.S. sailors were held hostage briefly for about 14 hours, and they were eventually released after they apologized. And keep all this stuff in mind. We had two Iranian boats capture 2 American ships, and by the way, if you've seen these boats, there's a thing on Facebook showing the Iranian boats and the U.S. boats. And anybody who has a brain in their head can realize there's no way those Iranian boats took those U.S. boats unless the U.S. boats were told to, quote, stand down and allow themselves to be taken. I mean, there's just no way. That's second. Obama has released, I think, 13 people from Gitmo in the past couple of weeks, 10 of them at one time. 13 jihadis have been released back and out into the world. We had several of our hostages that have been over there in Iran for some of them years, finally released. Reuters says that 6 to 7 Iranians have been released. The Iranians are now going to get $150 billion worth of cash that we had tied up because they supposedly officially met the IAEA regimen for the, quote, deal that we have. So they're supposed to now get their money. And call me cynical, Kim, but I don't think all these things that I just mentioned are happening just willy-nilly at the same time.
No, I don't think it's any coincidence here at all.
I hate to say it, but the American government's in bed with the Iranian government, and it's hard to believe that. Now, I'm glad that these hostages got released, but at the same time, I'm not so sure that. The stuff that we had to give up in order to get that done is not a good thing.
Yeah, John Kerry didn't waste any time coming on the news and saying that it was all because of his good relationship with in the nuclear talks with Iran.
Yeah, and he also thanked the Iranians for releasing our sailors.
Of course.
I don't know about you, that burns me up. I don't like the idea of Americans sailors on their knees blindfolded. That doesn't sit well with me. I don't know about anybody else, but whatever. Okay, on the more cheerier news, stock market lost $2.3 trillion over the last few weeks.
Worst 2-week start of a new year than any on record.
Yeah, I think in the first 2 weeks it's like 1.6 trillion, something like that, maybe. But in the past several weeks, it's $2.3 trillion just gone. And there's several reasons for this. Some of it has to do with China. It has to also do with falling oil prices. The thing is, cheap oil and cheap gas is a good thing in a way, but when the oil price per barrel gets below a certain point, it's a bad thing in terms of trying to make money in terms of, because let's face it, we pay our people better than most other oil producing countries do, and it costs us more to get a barrel of oil out of the ground than it does other countries. And fracking, with the oil prices as low as they are now, fracking becomes less and less of a positive thing in terms of getting the stuff out of the ground. And and trust me, I filled up the other day, Ken. I don't know about you, but I paid $1.64 per gallon for gas.
You got better.
That was nice.
Yeah, you're better than most of the South, I think.
Yeah, for whatever reason, Tennessee, apparently, at least in my little part of Tennessee anyway, we're paying. And matter of fact, I saw a gasoline station. I was driving by after I'd already filled up. About 2 days later, it advertised the sign outside their station advertised $1.49.
Lord.
And I don't know if that was a cash thing, we had to have cash. You couldn't use debit or credit or whatever, but still, $1.49. Yeah. Jeez.
I never thought I'd see that again in my lifetime.
Yeah, I figured we could if we kind of opened up our exploratory stuff and started, for example, we've not been able to explore stuff off our own coast, for years. And finally, we're able to do some of that now, and of course, we're also able to export oil now, oil and gas. And anyway, so I don't. Correct me if I'm wrong. During the State of the Union speech, did Obama mention the stock market crash?
Not once.
I don't think he did. And you know what else he did not mention? He did not mention our sailors being captured by the Iranians, because at the time of the State of the Union speech, they were still being held.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's funny. Huh? You would think he would at least mention them, Mm-hmm. But I guess they figured since we're having to kiss Iranian ass so much, I guess he figured it's better not to.
I cannot, and every time he opens his mouth, I'm always comparing him to Ronald Reagan and thinking, okay, Ronald Reagan would have done the exact opposite. That whatever is important in the world at that time, right then, that will be addressed, but not this president.
Well, he just ignores bad news. He's kind of like the mainstream media. The mainstream media, they just don't report things they don't want to report. It's not like it used to be, quote, in the good old days when news was reported and you decided for yourself whether or not it was, now we're being spoon-fed the news. At least when it comes to the major networks like CBS, ABC, NBC, etc. There was a thing from Media Research Center that was on Facebook the other day about the entire year of 2015 and how much time was spent on several major stories. And of the three major networks, for example, the IRS targeting scandal, Ken. Guess how many minutes were spent on the evening news for ABC, NBC, and CBS throughout the entire year of 2015? Guess how many minutes?
I'm sure it's low. How much?
0. It wasn't even mentioned.
That doesn't surprise me.
And the top story of the ones that were chosen to be checked, if I remember right, I'm doing this from memory, I think was Benghazi, or the email scandal. I forget which one. And it only got 46 minutes. Now, I'm talking about the entire year. All three networks, 46 minutes.
46 minutes.
So, think about it. We always complain about the low information voter. Well, the low information voter, if all they do is listen to the evening news on ABC, NBC, and CBS, they're not low information voters. They're no information voters.
Yeah, no information.
They're not even being told about this stuff at all.
And those people that, a vast number of people that only get their news on little blips of CNN or, the first few minutes of a CNN show or local news show, never hear about it.
No, if you're expecting the major mainstream, like I say, lamestream media to keep you informed of what's going on this world, good luck.
Yeah. But that's what they count on, Primo. They count on those people.
Well, I know. And those people, some of those people go vote, and I tell you what, it's just
disheartening, isn't it?
It's just sad that we've gotten to this point. And for a country like us, it has all the freedoms we have, and we have supposedly divided government and checks and balances. One of the most important parts of that, for us to function and to be a great nation, you have to have a free press, but you got to have a free press that will actually report the news. And it seems like that's just not being done anymore. I mean, there's all kinds of news. If you want to know what the Kardashians are doing, that stuff's out there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to know what your country's doing and what your government's doing, if it were not for, I hate saying this, but if it were not talk radio and it weren't for the internet and it weren't for not internet talk radio like we're on right now, we wouldn't know anything. Just amazing. Real quick before we go to break, because we're going to talk a bunch about some other stuff here, but I want to get this out before we go. Finally, Congress and the Senate finally sent a bill to try to kill Obamacare to the president's desk. Now there have been multiple bills about Obamacare, but they've never gotten approval in the Senate. This is the first time it got approval in the House and the Senate, and it actually got to the president's desk. Of course, the Senate did not have a veto-proof majority. Obama vetoed it immediately, but at least he finally did. But
this is an article.
Yeah, there's an article from the American Spectator that says that his veto just postpones the inevitable. Like we've said before, this law cannot stand on its own 2 feet. It just can't mathematically. So,
I had emailed my senators, both who voted for the omnibus bill, which, in fact, funded Obamacare.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they turn around and give me this. I get this, the Facebook from my senators saying we're going to fight against Obamacare. We're going to, I'm never going to give up the fight against take it out. And I'm like, you just funded it, guy. You just funded it. Yeah, you just financed the thing, and now you're telling me you're going to fight against it. And that's the establishment that I'm tired of, that I'm ready to get them out of. This is Isaacson. He's going to run again. He's running again. He's went up there in age a little bit, but he wants to go for another 6 years, like a McCain.
Yeah.
Aren't you tired, Primo? Just tired of they tell you one thing and do another.
I'm tired of being lied to by everybody, whether it be my congressman, my senator, my president, name it. I'm tired of it.
I'm just sick of it. They tell me what they think I want to hear, and they vote another way.
Yeah. And then this past week, Paul Ryan came out and he did a lengthy interview, I think, with Hannity, if I remember right. And he was explaining how we're really going to have a conservative message going forward, and they're going to fight tooth and nail for get rid of Obamacare and blah blah blah. And my question is, the budget that you just helped cram through, like you said, it fully funded Obamacare. So you do that, and then you turn right around and you start making promises about what you're going to do next, and this whole idea that you have to have the presidency in order to do this. Well, yeah, it's nice if you got the Congress and the Senate and the White House. Yeah, that's good, but that doesn't mean you just sit on your hands until you do.
I think they wait around with Obama being president. They wait around, and you've got the House and the Senate, and you think, well, we're not going to use the power of the purse. And that's the power we have. So we're just going to sit on our hands and wait until we have all three. And I don't know about you, Primo, but that's never happened in my lifetime.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not sure if they had all three that they'll stick by the word either.
I know, but you have two of the three, and you're saying we can't do anything until we have three of the three?
Yeah, I would be putting bills on Obama's desk, making veto
all the time,
and make sure everybody knew who was the obstructionist and who wasn't. We're running a little late. Let's go ahead and go to break. Thank you for listening to Red State Town Hall program. We'll be back in just a few moments.
Red State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hi, this is Jeff Carlisi from the band 38 Special. The mainstream media has failed the American people once again. Internet radio networks like Red State Talk Radio will not fail you. Tune in 24 hours a day. Studios A and B. Great conservative programming around the clock. Red State Talk Radio, the dominant force in Internet conservative talk radio.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom36.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom36.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 36.com. Go to freedom36.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom36.com.
The path to restoring our republic was laid down by our founding fathers. The principles of freedom, liberty, personal responsibility, and limited government are conservative ideals we will never abandon. America is listening. Grassroots, common sense, conservative talk radio. It's on the internet. Tune in now. Red State Talk Radio, featuring some of the most popular internet talk show hosts in America today. Are you listening? RedStateTalkRadio.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-400-1756 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 800-400-1756 to take your call now. Call 800-400-1756. That's 800-400-1756. Again, 800-400-1756.
Tired of the same old blah, blah, blah of traditional conservative talk radio?
We know that under the 49% rate, the U.S. economy is voting for.
Then tune in to New Media's Talk Monster for grassroots, common sense, conservative talk radio, Red State Talk Radio.
What if all wartime spending is paid for through the deceitful and evil process of inflating and borrowing?
WRS Digital, Cleveland, Tennessee.
If you're diabetic, this message could change your life. Is your blood sugar out of control even when you do all the right stuff? Are you afraid of diabetic blindness and the risk of amputation, as well as all those other side effects? Well, you should be. Is there anything that could help manage your blood sugar? Nobetes is a natural supplement that may quickly and dramatically lower your blood sugar.
My name is Bob Corder. I've been using Nobetes for about 3.5 to 4 months now. And in the first 3 months, I've actually lowered my blood sugars from 500s down to 139, and then it dropped to 88 to 93.
My name is Kirsten. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and while taking Nobetes, my blood sugar levels dropped from 295 to 115 in just 1 day.
The FDA hasn't evaluated these statements, and Nobetes isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But for many, it's helped drop their blood sugar. So if you've been evaluated with high blood sugar, don't delay. Evaluate Nobetes now. Call 800-554-7159 and get your free bottle. Just cover shipping and handling. Call 800-554-7159. That's 800-554-7159.
Tune in to Red State Talk Radio, the new media's talk monster for grassroots.
That's what freedom is all about.
Common sense.
I would be willing to use waterboarding.
Conservative talk radio.
Big spending liberal.
Red State Talk Radio. WRS Digital, Cleveland, Tennessee.
Commerce.
Okay, we're back. Thanks for sticking with us. There's an article that's on RedStateTalkRadio.com, Ken, from WorldNet Daily. I think Thomas Sowell was the author. It's Thomas Sowell's he's great.
He's excellent.
Talking about the Convention of States that Mark Levin has been pushing for quite a while now.
And now the governor of Texas.
Yeah, now the governor of Texas. That's true. Greg Abbott, I think his name is. The title of the article says Convention of States would empower the people. And I know there's mixed feelings on the Convention of States. But Mark Levin makes a good point. Some people are afraid to open up a can of worms that you don't want to open up. And I understand that. I get how people can see that and say that. But at the same time, if we don't do that, what are we going to do? Mark Levin's contention is we don't have a choice. This is the only thing we got left, because you already have Congress and the Congress not taking their power seriously enough, and you have a president through executive orders who is roughshotting and running roughshod over the Constitution. So if the states don't stand up for themselves, this is only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. I don't see any other way around it. This is what needs to happen. This is what needs to happen if we're going to take our country back. But I don't know.
How many do you know? How many is in right now that are for it?
I think we crossed the 30 threshold a while back. So we're getting close to having enough. You got to have, I think, 2/3 have to agree to do this. I think
it is.
But here's the great thing about this is once you do this, it locks Congress and the Senate and the President completely out. What will be decided by the states and the people they send for the convention. But that being said, we're not obeying the Constitution now. You know?
Yeah.
would this convention of states stop that from happening? I don't know. I hope so. We live in perilous times, Mr. Brown.
Don't I know it?
One thing I wanted to mention about the president's speech, his State of the Union speech. Two things. He defended his economic record, said that anyone who tells you the economy's doing bad is peddling fiction. I love that line. Peddling fiction. Let me tell you something. The only guy peddling fiction the other night was him. I mean, in the fantasy world that he lives in, it was unbelievable. Some of the stuff he said that were just, first of all, some of the stuff he said were just out and out, bold-faced lies. Now I understand the president's going to spin things his way and try to put a rosy picture on everything he's done and accomplished. I get that, but some of the stuff he was saying and talking about, Ken, it wasn't even close. I mean, I don't even know.
I like the quote in the article from Ted Cruz. He said he tweeted afterward the address was, quote, less a State of the Union than more of a state of denial.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, I forgot about that. And also, the president downplayed ISIS. He basically made it sound like ISIS was nothing but a bunch of guys with beards in the back of a pickup truck. Well, maybe so, but I tell you what, they've got a whole lot of territory, and they got 30 to 40,000 jihadis in their ranks. And for the most part, they're winning. Now, if you can't recognize that, who's in denial here?
Well, the most important thing is global warming, isn't it?
Well, global warming causes terrorism. You know that, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's the cause of everything. If we can fix the world, with climate change, everything will be perfect.
Yeah. I don't know, but the funny thing is, and I've said this before as a joke, but if global warming causes terrorism, how come the Amish are being quiet? How come Baptists are being pretty quiet? How come Methodists are being quiet? How come Jews are being, for the most part, quiet? I mean, go right down the list of pick your favorite religion. The only quote religion, and I keep saying over and over again, I don't consider Islam a religion. I consider it a political ideology. I just do. I don't. Anyway, why are they the only ones that are so upset about global warming, assuming that's supposedly the cause? It's just, first of all, the statement's just ludicrous on its face. But this is what passes for intellect in the liberal progressive community.
You can't use that same. You can't use that. That's an oxymoron. Intellect and liberalism. You can't use that in those things aren't. They're not the synonyms.
No, they're not. And I'm amazed at the people who. I'm just amazed at the. Well, I guess the only way to say it is this stupidity of people. I mean, it's supposedly, I know people, Ken, and I'm sure you do too, they're nice folks, but they're dumb as a rock when it comes to some of this stuff. And they believe anything that they hear. And it's amazing that supposedly semi-intelligent people can even give credence for a half a second to some of this nonsense that we're told.
Primo, we've got to me, the nonsensical part, and I'm like talking about the here and now. we've got the Democratic side of the ticket. We have Hillary Clinton, who has lied about emails about her foundation, about Benghazi. It's been proven that she's the classified things that she so-called did not send, classified information. And then you've got Bernie Sanders, who's a straight-up socialist and says he is. Turn the clock back to the 60s. Would John F. Kennedy have been anything close to this?
He wouldn't even be in the party.
But that's my point. Look how far off the track that party has gone.
Well, look how far off the track the Republican Party's gone too.
It has. I'm right there with you because I don't call myself a Republican. I'm a conservative, a straight up Reagan conservative, and I don't. And they went after him. They went after him when he tried to when he first came on the scene. They wanted to get rid of the warmonger Reagan. Yeah. God, we got to fight for conservative values. And just it wasn't this way back when we were little kids.
That's true. And let me tell you something about Hillary and getting desperate. Now she's had Bill out there campaigning for her, and guess who else showed up? Is Chelsea Clinton showed up, going on the attack. And first of all, now I don't know about you, Kim, but why does anyone care what the hell that little girl thinks? Now I know she's not a little girl anymore, but what I'm getting at is, what has she ever done?
What has Hillary ever done?
Well, that's good point.
That's what I mean. I mean, you go after somebody that's got the Clinton name, and because they haven't done anything, so what? She got the Clinton name, and she's never done anything wrong, so she can say whatever she wants to say, because that'll be looked at as, well, she knows what she's talking about, because she's never done anything wrong. At least nothing we've found out yet. I mean, she can be an expert because her last name's Clinton.
Yeah.
So she can defend her mom in any way she wants to. The liberals, that's what they are, liberal. And there is no solid truth.
No, it all depends on what the narrative is, and you just say whatever is the narrative. It doesn't matter about the truth. We got a little less than 10 minutes left. Let's talk about the GOP debate. My opinion, the best debate so far. There was some rock'em sock'em moments during this debate, and let me just say right off the bat that the next time they have a debate, there should only be 3 or 4 people on the stage. I've said this before, but Kasich, he definitely needs to go, and Bush definitely needs to go. And I agree with what someone else said. They need to take Christie and Ben Carson and flip a coin. And then the other 3 should be, of course, Rubio, Cruz, and Trump. So, as a matter of fact, I would be okay if you just had Rubio, Cruz, and Trump. If you only had 3, at the most we should have 4. That's just my opinion. I just don't see. And actually, Carson has plummeted so far. I hate to say it, but I'm thinking if you were going to have 4 people on the stage, you should maybe have Christie, because Christie had a fairly decent debate.
He's a liar, though. He lied when he said.
Yeah, he did. But
of
course, that usually goes past.
Well, it goes past because he's not up there. You don't have to target Christie because he's Rubio does. I guess they're fighting for the same group, but I don't know. But because Christie's not up there with the Trumps and the Cruzes, you don't have to go after him.
Right.
But he lied.
Well, here's the thing. Once Kasich is gone and let's say Bush is gone and maybe Christie and Carson are gone, those people who are polling for them are going to make a choice. They're going to choose Rubio, Cruz, or Trump. And I'm thinking most of those folks will probably go Cruz, but it could be Rubio. I don't think they'll go Trump, and that's just me. I can't prove that. I'm just thinking I don't think they will.
There's thought about. I don't know how you feel about it. Maybe. Well, I'd like to know how you do feel about it. You think that Trump can win? They say that there's some people in the Republican Party that just won't vote for Trump, but then there's people in the Democratic side who will vote for Trump. That, in fact, there's more on the Democratic side that will vote for Trump. That it makes it a more positive thing because he would have a crossover vote that no one else to get.
Yeah, I think that's true in terms of Trump. Trump has a bigger crossover appeal than Rubio or Cruz or anybody else for that matter. Trump can get some blue-collar Democrats voting for him, and he can get some independents voting for him simply because just the way he runs his campaign, and he's Trump,
Mm-hmm.
He would be getting up some of the people who voted for Obama the last time because they're kind of voting for a celebrity more so than a president. And but at the same time, there are people on the conservative base of the party of the GOP who are adamantly against Trump because they don't think Trump's a true conservative. And I tell you what, I'm not saying I wouldn't vote for him, but I'm saying I don't think he's a true conservative. I just don't think he is. I mean, he's in the GOP party. He's running. He's doing well in the polling, but he's had too many issues with positions that I don't think are conservative at all over the years, and he has flipped back and forth being a registered Democrat, being a registered independent, and being a registered Republican. And he's flip-flopped back and forth in terms of his party affiliation over the last 20, 30 years. And I don't know if
But do you think, and this is to me a major thing here, do you think he's got enough crossover to win New York State?
Well, first of all, does he have enough to do that in the general election? And I say yes. New York State, he is probably the only Republican in the field that could possibly win a blue state like New York. No one else would even come close.
But if he did,
that would be a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah,
I mean, not since Reagan is a Republican who won New York.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Reagan, if I remember right, in the first election with Reagan, he did not win New York, but he did the second time around because he won 49 out of 50 states, so he obviously won then. But Reagan had a pretty good showing in New York when he didn't win it the first time. Trump, I think he's the only one I can think of in recent memory that could possibly win New York. And here's the thing, he would win upper state New York, no problem. At least I don't think he would have a problem. Of course, New York City is a different story, but he's such a popular figure in New York City. I'm thinking he would probably do pretty well.
Well, if he can win New York, that electoral college is
well, hey, if you win New York, you can you're pretty. And if you win the normal states a Republican wins, you're in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By a long easy.
It's not even close. You can afford to lose one or two that you would normally get. You can lose like an Indiana and whatever.
Colorado,
a Tennessee or a Georgia or something, which they're not going to lose Tennessee. They're not going to lose Georgia. I don't think they're going to lose Indiana either. So.
But I think if any state that he could take that would be so-called blue state, New York would be the one.
Yeah, I mean that's the. There might be others off top, some of the smaller states that maybe he could do well in, but New York would be the big enchilada. I mean, that would be a big freaking deal. And if you won New York, you could lose Ohio, you could lose Florida.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe not both, but you could lose at least one of them anyway.
Well, I agree with you. I don't think he's, a solid conservative. I mean, he may be a solid conservative now. He might have changed his ways, but I think he's the the dealing guy, the art of the deal, Donald Trump, that when he gets in office, he's going to say, well, I'm going to get this done, and how do I get it done? And he's going to wheel and deal to get his way, but he's going to give up whatever he's got to give up to get his way.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that would encompass. I don't have a clue. That's the scary part about Donald Trump.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think Donald Trump has a clue either. I mean, he would just do whatever he had to do. Like you say, he is so competitive and so single-minded. Once he decides to do something, he'll make it happen through his sheer will. I mean, he'll, best he can. I mean, of course, I know you got to cooperate in some in Washington, but I think Trump would do anything and everything to accomplish what he wants accomplished. And
what I do like about Donald Trump is that he is not establishment. You can say what you want to about him, but he's not.
No, not really. No.
And what we've had in Washington these god-awful many years, and we put up with, and like we just got through talking about, the Isaacsons and the McCains and those people that just say one thing, do another. I'm so tired of it. I'll take anyone to upset that apple cart.
Yeah, true. Only got about a minute left. Anything else you want to bring up, Ken? Maybe about the debate or anything else?
The debate.
Well, who do you think won? I mean, that'd be, I guess.
I honestly think Rubio had a good showing, in my own personal opinion. I think Trump actually was a better speaker. He seemed more knowledgeable this time around. Maybe it's just because he's had more practice. Cruz was still strong. I think those three stood out.
If I had to rank them, I would say I agree pretty much what you said, but I would think Cruz first. Second, Trump and Rubio, I think, were right there together. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, so I think Cruz actually won the debate. And by the way, Frank Luntz on Fox News, they do their little focus group and stuff.
Right.
Did you watch that clip where he asked them who won the debate, and it was like almost the entire group yelled out Cruz.
Well, I think Cruz had the best line of the night about the birther thing, which is, to me, the most.
Well, he had several lines, but yeah, that was a really good one. That exchange with Donald Trump about the birther thing, back and forth. Yeah, I think Cruz won that one. So.
Oh yeah, I think that was. And I know we talked about the birther issue before, but how, I mean, it's obvious, and even Donald said it, that he went after Cruz because Cruz is up there. Cruz is knocking on the door. And
I have to admit that I was surprised that he would admit that. He literally said
he did.
He said when Neil Cavuto asked him, "Well, how come you're bringing it up now?" I said, "Well, because he's doing better." And so
that was honesty.
In other words, when he wasn't doing as well, it wasn't that big a deal. He didn't care.
Exactly. That was funny.
Yeah, I thought, well, at least he's admitting it. Okay, that's it. Gosh, we're out of time. You want to take us out again?
If we lose freedom here, there is no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Ronald Wilson Reagan, our 40th president of these United States.
Okay, that's it. We're out of here. We'll see you next time.